Buddy, the purpose of today is to give you an update in relation to the investigation of Anne-Marie Smith, and also to make an appeal for information that will assist the investigation. The photo you're looking at is a picture of Annie in 2012 in happier times with her dogs, Dina and Maggie. She loved those dogs to bits, and sadly they died about 3 years ago. As you'll see in that photograph, Annie was able to live her life. She was able to go out with her chair and actually take her dogs for a walk. Sadly, since that time, her health declined over the years and culminated in her death this year. Task Force Giles, as you're aware, was formed to investigate the death, and that involves 17 officers working at Major Crime Investigation Branch, and they've been working tirelessly since we spoke last time to get to the bottom of what happened to Annie and who would be responsible. As you know, her care is delivered through a local care provider, and they had allocated a carer to work for Annie and to deliver services to her for 6 hours a day, 7 days a week, and she'd been providing a care to her since about 2013. She also had a gardener to help her maintain the property. Since we spoke last time, we've spoken to a wide range of witnesses and friends trying to build a picture of Annie's life, what she was doing, what she intended to do, and perhaps what her future may be. We've also been consulting with various medical experts to understand, I guess, her medical issues and how they should be treated and what sort of care she should be getting, and compare that to the level of care she was being provided. We've executed warrants here and interstate to obtain company records, and have also seized a large amount of business records and other information which we're in the process of analysing. We've engaged with other agencies and with other existing inquiries that are occurring, and it's not my intention to talk about those today, except to say that we've had contact with those agencies, and as appropriate and where lawful, we'll share information with those inquiries. Importantly, Annie was given that jewellery by, importantly, Annie was given a large amount of jewellery over time by her mum, and we believe also received some jewellery upon her mum's death. We've been unable to locate that jewellery, and we don't have pictures of it available at this time, but we're looking to obtain pictures of that jewellery. Annie had a passion for jewellery and used to go to the same city jeweller with her carer and buy jewellery for herself. She bought about $35,000 worth of jewellery over about a 10-year period. In particular, 6 gold hair clips which were made for Annie. They're the only hair clips that this jeweller's ever made, partly because they're very, very expensive and they're all out of gold. She also had a yellow and rose gold-coloured padlock bracelet, which is quite distinctive. 5 interlinked gold bracelets, so 5 that were kind of all intertwined and worn as a group, and then 3 other single bangles. So altogether they come to about $35,000, and they're missing. Also missing from her home is a large 2-door refrigerator with the doors side by side, and a small bar fridge. We know that somebody has taken that from her place, and we'd like to know where those fridges ended up and where the jewellery has ended up. So our appeal would be to anybody who's seen anybody wearing those hair clips. You may have seen your neighbour wearing them. They may have been sold online. They may have been sold at a pawn shop. We don't know what's happened to them, but they're extremely distinctive hair clips. They're quite large, and we'd encourage anybody who knows what's happened to them or the fridges to contact us. Another significant thing that has been found is that, as you saw in that photograph, Annie looked well and was enjoying life, and since that time her health deteriorated significantly. Of concern to us is we haven't been able to locate any health records to show that since 2015 she had seen a doctor, dentist, physio, or been prescribed any prescription drugs. So We're at the moment trying to source more historical records, but we would encourage any health professionals out there, be it doctors, dentists, physios, nurses, anybody at all in the last 10 years who's provided any form of care to Annie, we would encourage you to ring Crime Stoppers. We'll have one of our detectives from the task force available to talk to anybody who rings up tonight between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. And we'd encourage anybody with information that could help to ring in and ask to speak to that detective. I'm happy to take some questions.
Do you think these were stolen?
We don't know what's happened, but clearly Annie hasn't taken them anywhere. I mean, she's the only one that lives in a house. There's very few people who have access to a house. We can't find them. Nobody's been able to provide an explanation as to what's happened to them. And I do find that very strange. So we're not excluding the fact that they've been stolen and disposed of, or that they're in the care of somebody else.
Neighbours have said to the media that in the days after Anna's death, items were taken from the house, like fridges that they saw people taking them out. Is that something that you have also spoken to?
Well, that's something that we're looking at, is trying to identify who people are. We know that things have disappeared from the house over a period of months.
Do you think that fridges and the jewellery were potentially taken after her death?
We don't know.
How unusual is it for someone with Anne's needs to not have any medical records for 4 years?
Well, it's of surprise to us. I mean, her health was declining and she was confined to a chair. So I would have expected, in the ordinary course of events, as your health is declining, you would see an increase in medical care, not an absence of it.
At the time when you first spoke about Anne's death, you said that she had a brother she wasn't in contact with, and I think someone who was a friend or a next of kin who lived in the southeast. Have you found any other, first of all, have you been able to get more information from those people? And secondly, have you found any other social or family connections that she might have had?
Most of the people that we've spoken to have been quite honest. I mean, everybody that can help generally has wanted to help us, but the reality is it appears that in recent years Annie had become increasingly isolated socially. She did have contact with some people regularly over her telephone, and she did have access to a tablet, but certainly neighbours have told us that she hasn't left her house for a long time, possibly as long as since 2018.
Any other questions?
So who was it that told you about the existence of the jewellery? Was that her brother, or who was able to tell you about the items that were missing?
The investigation team identified that she had bought the jewellery and where she'd bought it, and we were able to go there, and the jeweller's been extremely helpful.
Is your investigation leading to an individual doing wrong or a systemic failure in the care industry itself?
What we'll look at, as I said earlier when I spoke to you some time ago, there's two aspects to the task force. One is the criminal investigation, which will focus on those matters that should be put to a court, and also the simultaneous coronial investigation, which will look at the cause and circumstances of the death, systems, policies and procedures, and anything that could or should have been done to prevent this death or to prevent other deaths. So that will be wide-ranging.
Are you really close to an arrest in this case?
Sometimes with these matters, it's a case that we will arrest early in an investigation for a particular reason, and in other investigations you'll notice that it seems to take longer before we arrest. We'll do whatever's best for the investigation. In this case, it's best to do a comprehensive, thorough investigation, and then a little bit down the track, consider the sufficiency of that evidence, speak to the DPP, and that would be the time we take action.
The Morrison Company records that you spoke about, are they all from Integrity Care, or have other companies been involved?
The majority would be from Integrity Care, but we've also seized records from other businesses, so I won't go into that too much. But yeah, it's a wide-ranging investigation, so we're going to lots of areas where we can source information.
In terms of your police investigation, is that wider now? Obviously, at the beginning you were just looking at sort of the carer and the care provider mainly. Is that widening? Have you seen that more people may?
No, we've still got that focus. We've got a clearly defined focus on the criminal investigation, and like we always would for an investigation for the coroner. That is equally or more important and in some ways, and that will be a very wide-ranging investigation.
You said that Anne had means of communication. Do you know when she last communicated with anyone outside of a carer in her home?
In the days before her death, she was in communication with other people.
So it would have been just days before she last made a phone call or sent
Yes.
Final question.
Given the, saw the task force into report yesterday, I know it's not investigators, would you hope that this can instigate change in how carers will not just in South Australia, but nationally?
Yeah, look, I won't speak about the other inquiries, but my personal view is that anything that can be done by anybody to ensure that something like this never happens again is a really good thing. Thank you.
Just on an unrelated
Thank you.